It is Friday, and you know what that means.
Yeah,
Welcome, everyone, to episode 382 of everyone's favorite wrestling podcast, the F and Marks.
I'm Jay. He is.
I am the brainless one, and I definitely earned my name after watching my team play as horribly and terribly as they did yesterday in their losing effort against the Dallas Cowboys. I have proven once again that I live the gimmick, and it's also a lifestyle.
You know, I sent you all a gift before the game, and I think the game really lived up to the hype.
I actually would have been more thoroughly entertained with the GIF if it actually had happened at the 50-yard line than what the game actually was. But that's not why we are here. We're not here to talk about how shitty the New York Giants are. That's what I do on Twitter. I am here to talk about our sport we love to hate, professional wrestling.
Yes.
And we got ourselves an interesting show this week. We have ourselves War Games for Survivor Series tomorrow. We found out some new information in regards to that, as in like the new fifth member of the OG bloodline. We also had a return last week on SmackDown. We're going to get into. We're definitely going to be getting into this whole Ricky Starks AEW GCW, whatever the hell you want to call that.
Right.
But first, we do technically speaking, have a new addition to the WWE family as one half of a current tag team, and his wife, who is also a Viking, welcomed a second baby Viking into the family. Eric Rowe and Sarah Rowe
Yep.
have welcomed their second daughter this week. So congratulations to the two of them. I'm horrible with names, and I didn't write it down. So
That's fine. I just have Eric in Valhalla. So, what's up, Chris Brown? How you doing? Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations to them.
yeah,
When they brought Sarah in originally, it seemed like she was going to be an up and coming star, but clearly she and her husband have decided, like, you know what, we're gonna have a family and we're doing it right now. So good on them, not letting the business get in the way of life.
yeah, and I'm happy for them too. Their second kid recently too. I think they have two very young children. I still remember Sarah Rowe before she was Valhalla, where she was part of the Riot Squad with Ruby Riot and Liv Morgan, and here we are, about 5 years later, and where have they gone, and where they've all developed and everything. But good on them for having a family. I know that's at the end of the day, that's families first. We're seeing it right now with Becky Lynch and all the time she's spending at home with her kid. So congratulations to Eric and Sarah on the addition of their family.
And one of the things I brought up in the shortened podcast last week, Becky Lynch, it sounds like her return is imminent. My guess is it's going to be that first Raw on Netflix. People are talking about folks returning and surprising tomorrow. Could it be Becky? Could it be Charlotte? Could it be someone else? There are a lot of names out there, a lot of interesting stories that could develop out of it. Quite honestly, I'd rather see everything be pretty clear cut tomorrow and we can sort everything else out after.
I have a feeling we're going to start getting seeds planted for WrestleMania tomorrow. If I'm being absolutely 100%, certain about this. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, after what we witnessed last week on SmackDown, it is as clear as day that they are planting seeds for WrestleMania tomorrow. We're going to see people who are not part of the card make appearance tomorrow. And I'm not talking about Karrion Kross showing up to throw a water bottle at somebody. I'm talking about somebody getting involved in some way, shape, or form in War Games tomorrow. I have some very interesting predictions. I'm going up against the norm. I am swinging for the fence on some of my predictions tonight, cousin Jay. I'm telling you,
All right.
these are going to be some good. These are some good ones. I got some good ones up my sleeve, and I even wore my hoodie today to make sure I have enough sleeve to have them up my sleeves for what I have in store for my predictions.
That's great. That's great.
But like I
Chris
with Becky
Brown also
Lynch,
threw out Alexa Bliss as a name, by the way.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I Becky Lynch for me, it's either the first Raw of the Netflix era or she's showing up at the Royal Rumble. I think Alexa Bliss is really earmarked for that 30 spot in the Royal Rumble for the women's this year. I think that's exactly when we're going to see her come back. Charlotte, I think we're going to see her sooner before anybody else. And I do think she's going to end up on SmackDown.
Okay.
And I do think that she's going to somehow, some way get involved in this whole Nia Jax thing. By the way, I know we missed a couple, I missed the episode last week. I apologize. I had a scheduling conflict and a brainless moment at the same time last week, which is why I missed last week's show. I know, surprisingly, I pulled a brainless, we're not
And
going to
while
get
we're
into it.
discussing that, the next 2 weeks we are going to be on Thursday, not on Friday, Thursday, because I
Thursday.
have scheduling conflicts. 'Tis the season, I guess. Crazy.
It is the brainless one, too. Don't forget that. Um, but I just think with everything that's going on tomorrow, there's a lot of people that are like. It's not even just the women. It's not even just Charlotte. It's not even just Becky. It's not even just Alexa Bliss. Are we ever going to see Brock Lesnar return? Is Brock Lesnar going to be making an appearance? That's another one of those things that it's like, well, we've heard this at one point, we've heard this at a different point. Are we ever going to see Brock Lesnar? Is he
I
going to
mean,
get
the most
involved in this?
recent report was the Brock Lesnar, they don't have any plans and they were going to try to erase him from history, so to speak. We had heard reports not that long before that they had put him on the active roster page and that maybe we could be seeing him sooner rather than later. I like the fact that it's like, I don't freaking know. I don't know. I don't
Crazy.
know, Brainless.
I don't know. It's crazy. Like that's always the one that sticks out for me because it's like I know that Styles is going to be out for a long time. I don't think we're going to see somebody like Omos until the Royal Rumble, which I think was the last time we saw him, other than the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal that was on WrestleMania, but it's now WrestleMania SmackDown, which is the night before night one of the WrestleMania and all this jazz. I I just think that right now at this point, it's when is Becky coming back? When is Charlotte coming back? When is Alexa Bliss coming back? There really isn't anybody in the men's division that we're expecting back anytime soon because we know that with the Liz Frank injury that Styles is out for a while. Like who else is out that's missing? Like Drew? When is
Yeah,
Drew
I
gonna
mean,
get back?
that,
And,
I mean,
and
he'll be back before the Rumble.
what are they gonna do with? That's one of the things that I was trying to figure out, cousin Jay's. What are they gonna do with Drew McIntyre now? Now that this whole thing with CM Punk and the little bead bracelet and all that stuff is done, what are they doing with Drew McIntyre? We just found out last week on SmackDown what they're doing with CM Punk.
And I mean, what we saw on Friday, there could be a couple ways they decide to go with Punk. If they want to set something up with he and Roman, I know they're separate. Well, Roman is on whatever show he damn well wants to be on. Uh, Punk currently on Raw. Clearly, he's going to stay on Raw. You know, beyond that, the bit that they had with him and Bronson Reed, I would not mind seeing Bronson Reed and CM Punk because, you know, that series of matches that Bronson had with Braun Strowman,
Awesome.
you know, brought him up several notches. Him having a feud with CM Punk will bring him up more notches. I'd love to see it. It's all dependent on what they're building up, I guess, in the future. You know, Punk, after, you know, his Drew McIntyre storyline, Drew McIntyre was the heavyweight champion. Does this mean CM Punk is going to be in line for Gunther? That wasn't even something that, was messed with last Friday, but do we get that match? Let's say Royal Rumble. Do we get that match at WrestleMania? There are so many different avenues they could go right now. And I think for Drew, I mean, I think I feel that he might be better suited almost getting traded to the other show at this point. I mean, I know that they're being very relaxed with the brand split, but just to get him new opponents.
That's not a terrible idea. And the funny thing is with the way the SmackDown roster is set up, it's like we already kind of know where they're going with Cody Rhodes, and if we don't, they have like two or three different avenues. We're either going to get him and Roman 3, we're either going to get him and The Rock, or we're going to get him and Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And then with Roman Reigns, if he doesn't get Cody Rhodes, he's probably going to get The Rock, or he's going to get Solo Sikoa, or he's going to get somebody like Jacob Fatu. There's all these different people that they already have kind of lined up for it. I really do think, and I'm going to get into this in the predictions, they're definitely setting up for Seth Rollins and CM Punk at WrestleMania. There is no question in my mind. We're going to see that tomorrow. That's probably going to end up being my lock. Yes. I think that's going to end, because I'm sick and tired of doing the lock of the premium live event and then having it blow up in my face like watching the Giants play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
And shit, man.
And shit, man.
And or having the Bears head coach
comes out and does it. They almost got my Brainless this week. Luckily there was something wrestling related that took over the Bears, who had their head coach go out and do a press conference this morning talking about all the things that the Bears had to do to get better, and then firing him after the press conference. Stay Chicago Bears, Chicago Bears. Nobody believes you're a real NFL franchise.
Bear down.
Seth Rollins is so disappointed since you guys lost to Washington. He deleted his Twitter and jumped off a bridge. Congratulations, Chicago Bears.
Yep, I heard Gilmerton. Stole your gimmick. Stole your gimmick.
Seth Rollins hates football just like the rest of your fans, Bears fans. Oh, Lord.
Yep, as our Pat said, he has signed up his child for a life of misery. Had him in Bears clothing within 2 days.
Well, I mean, ironically, that same thing happened to me 40 some odd years ago. My dad put me in Red Sox stuff, and look at how that turned out for me.
Hey, it's been fine. It took a little while, but it's been fine.
Hey, I keep trying to speak Juan Soto to the Red Sox into existence. That's all that matters to me. That's all I need in my life. Just put that in there, because right now, watching the Giants try to play football, not even play football, try and attempt to play football is just embarrassing every week. I need some kind of brightness, and WWE did kind of throw me one bone, and you know damn well where I'm going in one match in particular tomorrow. You know damn well I am throwing all logic out the window.
I understand.
It's because it's literally the only thing that could happen between now and the end of this month that could leapfrog Bucky Bucktooth Beaverfucker as my markout moment of the year. I'm just going to tell everybody right now, if it does happen, if I do get my shameful thing, Lobster Head, Ultimate Grand Slam Championship reign of Sheamus as Intercontinental Champion, my house isn't going to be on the planet anymore. It's just going to explode, because the amount of excitement and happiness and joy that is going to flow from me is going to wipe out half a block in Newport News. So all I'm going to say is that's what I'm hoping for, and I'm actually excited for this because, like I said earlier, I really do think they're planting the seed for WrestleMania starting tomorrow. They're not waiting until the Royal Rumble. No. Triple H is way ahead of his time. People are playing checkers. All the bookers are playing checkers. Triple H is playing chess, and Tony Khan is playing tiddlywinks with the Young Bucks.
I think it's interesting that we have no Cody Rhodes tomorrow night. I think that's something interesting. Will it lead to something? Cody Rhodes doesn't seem like the run-in type of fella, but you just never know.
Wait, I need to know one very important question. If this is the case and he has nothing booked, I need to know if tomorrow in catering backstage whether or not they're going to have cupcakes. Because if Cody
Oh,
Rhodes really wants to get involved in Survivor Series War Games, all he has to do is go into catering when Kevin Owens is about to walk in there and demolish all the cupcakes, take all the cupcakes, and either give them to Otis and have him eat them all, or throw them all in the trash. That way, Kevin Owens will snap on Cody the same way he snapped on Randy Orton in Saudi Arabia, because I do have, with good authority and a reliable source, that it was indeed Randy Orton that took out the cupcakes in catering in Saudi Arabia that caused Kevin Owens to attack him the way he did.
quick question. Good authority. Are we talking about a certain immortal character, maybe maybe you have a line of communication with the Hulkster? Is that the trustworthy source? Told you about this? Maybe.
Hulk Hogan is about as reliable of a source for anything as Ric Flair is as a functioning, sober human being.
So there's a chance.
There was also a chance, because Hulk Hogan came up in conversation with my father today, that the that the a certain moment in Hulk Hogan's life almost did come up in the conversation, especially after he had mentioned to me about the stupid thing I did 34 years ago now that I will never forgive myself for. And I almost was like, well, Dad, I mean, Hulk Hogan, because we were talking about The Undertaker, and he was like, yeah, I heard The Undertaker talk, and he has like this normal voice and everything. And I was like, yeah, Dad. I'm like, it's crazy because there's all these wrestling fans out there that are so mad at The Undertaker because The Undertaker is just talking like a normal dude, and he's living a normal life, and he's got his podcast, and all these guys in their 30s and 40s are like, you ruined my childhood because you now talk like a normal person. You're not a dead guy. And I was like, Dad, well, you got to think about this. I'm like, they're all used to the fact that Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan, both in their 70s, are still Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair, as opposed to Ric Flair and Terry Bollea. Obviously, we know from the Gawker trial why Hulk Hogan would rather go around telling people he's Hulk Hogan as opposed to Terry Bollea. I was this close to explaining that to my father, but I didn't want to kind of make the conversation any more uncomfortable
Well,
as it
I think
already
we
was.
have to send him the video just so he could see that. I cannot wait till that movie comes out, by the way. Like, that is going to be a pivot
Oh.
scene.
That's all we need. Chris Hemsworth going, oh, Hulk Hogan has a bigger penis than Terry Bollea. I'm like, what? That's not how physics works, Terry. That will never. I'm sorry. That will never not be funny. Just because in the lores of professional wrestling, forever, there will always be a video clip of Hulk Hogan testifying under oath that Hulk Hogan and Terry Bollea have different penis sizes, and it will never not be funny to me. I'm sorry. Just like it will never not be funny every time Brock Lesnar gets in the ring, grabs the microphone, and tells Hulk Hogan party's over, Grandpa. Just
Mm.
like it will never not be funny when we watch Tea Time with Santino, and that whole bit is just freaking hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Because
Primetime
you
Brian,
beat him.
shaking with the coffee with the tea. You hear the cup. That's the funniest part, when you hear the cup rattling on the tea plate. Oh my god, that's the.
I mean, it's not quite the bedpan, but
Oh my god, that was still my favorite moment in Attitude Era. That bedpan shot will forever. Nothing else. I mean,
mm,
the Zamboni was cool. The beer truck was cool. The milk truck was actually pretty cool.
yeah.
But the bedpan and Mr. Sacco and Bubbles the clown or whatever the hell it was, the same
Jerful.
clown,
Jerful.
Jerful the clown, the same clown that
Jerful.
Jerful.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Either way, it was the same clown I sent away at the frickin' sign shop I worked at like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Is this the party? No, go away. You're a fucking clown. Get out of my face.
Look, I was at Harbor Park last year, and there was a clown that like knocked on the door, came in the room. Is this the room with the kids? And it's like, no, not sure we want to tell you which one is the one with the kids.
Yeah, it's a good thing I wasn't there. Nice try, Diddy. You're not falling. I'm not falling for it this time. Make for one hell of a conversation later on, though.
Chris Brown said, "Don't forget about Titus O'Neil in Saudi Arabia." The best reaction to it, quite honestly, was Corey Graves because he didn't see it at first. And then when he saw it, and like it was like watching, Remy and Orsillo back in the day. Like once, like the floodgates opened and you could not close it.
The thing with that's the best comparison too, because Orsillo and Remy for 2 straight innings they couldn't keep it together. Just like when Titus O'Neil went diving under the ring, the whole like Michael Cole, Corey Graves, whoever else was with them, they just could not keep it together. It was like the episode of the podcast when the dog splashed Bugsby. When Dixie dog splashed Bugsby and we couldn't hold it together for 45 minutes. That was what Titus O'Neil was.
Yeah.
That was another good one.
Uh,
I mean, anything with R-Truth at this point is
oh,
he's just gold.
the journey of R-Truth.
From his humble days as once being known as K-Quick, teaming up with the Road Dogg in the early 2000s, to go into TNA and becoming the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, to coming back to WWE and smoking in a building and beating up on John Morrison and hanging out with Little Jimmy, to becoming the most decorated champion in WWE history. Ron Killings is, was, and always will be a GOAT.
Losing a title on a golf course to a man who attacked him in wrestling tights. Shouldn't have hindered.
It was funny because I've seen clips recently of him and Carmella. I remember when they first put them together, I wasn't really that big of a fan of it, but like after a while, they really started growing on me. I really enjoyed their pairing. They were a lot of fun to watch together, and they meshed so well together.
The table of three with the two of them, I forget who else was with them. What was great. R-Truth is like going, yeah, they put us together like one day, and then it ended up being 18 months. They took off.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
I think it was Sonya Deville with them on the table of three. Good little discussion. R-Truth being R-Truth.
Those are always so good. I love those table for three.
Yeah.
It was such good shit, pal.
So you did bring up Otis a little bit ago, and I just have to say, Otis and Tozawa getting their first tag team victory in quite some time this week for the sake of a storyline. Quite honestly, it may be one of the best slow burns we've ever seen. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods with the slow implosion, all these like little things here and there, I mean, it from like the first like little crack you saw like a year ago, we're finally to this point where like they're supposed to be saluting the New Day in their 10th anniversary on Monday. But after that loss, after Kofi and Xavier couldn't get on the same wavelength, they just absolutely tore into each other backstage, like you see them going at it, like in the ring, like what the hell, blah, 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 blah. And then you see them go in the back, and I enjoy the fact that they followed them with the camera, had the camera like right on them, fly on the wall, as like, yep, yeah, Woods, you're just not good enough. That's why you've never been a singles champion. And then Woods, like, you would have never been champion if it weren't for me. It was awesome. I freaking loved it.
Uh, I just got this feeling they're going to do the Cody Rhodes on us.
They could.
Smoke and mirrors.
Could be.
Because we all know that on Monday, when they celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the New Day, that Big E Langston will be at ringside because there is no way, shape, or form they're going to be having any kind of a 10-year celebration for the New Day without the humble Big E. And
I
Big
want
E,
him to have on a Christmas sweater like he did when it came out that he and Michin's sister are dating. And they had those sweaters on. I want him to have a New Day version of that where they're like riding a unicorn across. I want that on Monday. And him
he
having
needs
a whole big bucket of popcorn.
Bootios,
That too.
pancakes.
I hope he has a pancake making station and he throws it at
He
Graves.
he needs to show up riding a unicorn too. I'm not asking. Listen, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just asking for pancakes, Bootios, and Big E on a unicorn.
Hey, since we don't have Kevin Dunn anymore, I think it's highly possible that it could happen. Flying unicorn. Why not?
How many naked autograph pictures of B. Arthur?
Uh,
Nice pictures. Is that B. Arthur? Sorry.
yeah. So Chris Brown wondering if Biggie is going to come back to prevent the implosion, and are we going to get a Daniel Bryan moment of I am cleared? I really would love for that to happen. Honestly, that's what I predicted a couple weeks ago when they said they're going to have this 10th anniversary celebration of the New Day. I want to see Big E return to the ring only if he is healthy enough to do it. Let's get Big E back. Let's have him finish his career as he wants to. Hopefully, again, that his neck has rejuvenated itself and has healed correctly. I would love to see that. Love to see that. What do you think about Big E? Do you think he will come back and be cleared?
Who's that? I'm sorry. I was reconnecting my headphones.
Uh, do you think Big E is coming back, and do you think he will be cleared? And do you think that will be part of what is going on Monday?
Man, if that is the reason why they're kind of teasing this whole friction between Xavier Woods and Kofi as a way to kind of like get people to not think about Big E possibly returning and being medically cleared, that would be one hell of a slam dunk on WWE's part. I would love nothing more for that to be the issue or like the thing that kind of brings them all together. That this is all just kind of like a work and that it's just their way of bringing Big E back into the equation. And honestly, they're going to need people because if they're going to be feuding with Karrion Kross's Aldi version Judgment Day, he's going to need somebody other than just The Miz and the authors of Pain. And I think that'd be a great way to do it. I think the likelihood of it happening are pretty slim, but I wouldn't rule it out completely. All I'm going to say is Adam Edge.
Right. All right.
So if I had to put it at a number, I would say 80-20 that it doesn't happen.
Okay. I'd say that's a fair assessment there. Biggie didn't sound too promising, like 6 months ago. He's like, hey, I'm gonna walk. I'm not gonna walk. I'm walking and gonna live my life without pain. I'm good.
I take back what I said earlier. If Big E shows up tomorrow, or I'm sorry, on Monday, and is medically cleared to resume his career, that is the only other thing that could leapfrog Bucky Bucktooth Beaverfuck as my markout moment of the year if Big E is medically cleared and can return from his neck injury.
So if the other thing you're hoping happens.
I give out 2 awards.
No, all right.
There's no. I'm sorry. Big E is just that story would just be incredible just because we've been getting all the updates and everything like that. Like when Edge retired, it's like, yeah, we know kind of Edge retired. Big E's kind of like let it linger, like I haven't fully retired. It's not looking good. But he hasn't really put out like that I've retired type of deal yet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we don't know what's happening. So I think if I mean at the end of the day, I would have to give a slighter edge to Sheamus winning the Intercontinental Championship, but like Big E coming out with, especially with like a moment like that where it's the New Day with friction and Big E's there to kind of like bring the group back together. I would have to and that would play a big role in my decision of who gets it, and I would probably end up giving it to both because they're both incredible moments. Just like we've seen the production value of how great WWE is. Like you mentioned with the shots where you show them backstage, and it just everything they've done in production this year has been wonderful. I'm finding them a Marquee Award this year. I don't know how, other than fuck you, Bucky Beaver. You can go build a dam, you damn fuck.
Maybe that's the name of the award.
Bucky, back to the dam with you, Bucky Beaver Award.
Yeah.
Back to the dam with you, Bucky Beaver Award goes to video production.
I think they could play this. Whether Biggie can come back or not, the main thing Biggie is going to inject into this when the New Day started and as they continued, one of their things was the power of positivity. And he's going to tell them that he does not see the power of positivity between the two of them. And
That's
then
why
he's going to bring up all these sorts of things like, yes, maybe this wasn't great, maybe this wasn't great, but this was great, and this was great. The old day was not great. This was great. This was great. This was great.
Jay, it's gonna be great when they do the whole thing of the 10-year celebration of the New Day and they show the old day segment. You know they're gonna do it.
Oh, they're going to. It's going to be a rip not only on the New Day but on the audience. Be like, yep, we're gonna take the worst thing that we did with them and we're putting it in this package.
If they really wanted to win,
why? Because we can.
Exactly.
Some editor behind the scenes is going to be like, because I've done that. Done that.
Yeah. See what I did there? The old day segment, it was awful, but I put it in there anyway. If they really want to win me over with this New Day celebration, they need to bring in Paige and Brad Maddox. Although I don't know if that's a good idea to have Brad Maddox, Paige, and Xavier Woods in the within mere inches of each other.
And hopefully not have any sort of title near them.
There was other things, and it wasn't just titles.
Mm.
Allegedly.
Mm. Mm.
Mm. Boy, I don't even know how the hell we segue from Paige on Pornhub to next, but actually we can.
Oh, the Hardy's resign. Oh wait.
I was going to say, speaking of AEW, any way to do a shitty segue into AEW is always a good segue into AEW. But I mean, the Hardy Boys in their 90s getting tag team title, contracts from TNA is, a big. Let's go with that. Then we'll talk about the Ricky Starks thing.
Well, I thought it was the only real segue we had, going from talking about Biggie, Brad Maddox, and to Hardy's.
The Hardy Party.
That was the only segue I saw. So
Well, it's either
you
that, or
know,
we have to, or we could delete what we were just talking about from the episode.
hey, so Matthew and Jeffrey have signed contracts with TNA. Again, this goes back to what I talked about months ago when they decided that they were going to kind of reorganize the company after they got rid of Scott D'Amore, and they decided they were not going to sign long-term contracts with anybody. They had the Harvey Boys with the TNA championships, and they weren't under contract. They had like a handshake deal, but it's like, if you want to have somebody and book them long term, how can you long term book anything? If handshake deals these days generally aren't worth much of anything. I think there are a few people that may work for, but like I said months ago, I think specifically Jeff should just retire. If Matt wants to keep going, he's slowed down quite a bit, and not even what he was like, 5 to 10 years ago. Jeff, again, if he needs the money, all right, but I don't need to see you diving 20 feet off the top of a ladder through a stained glass window with chairs below it and tables above it and blow-up dolls as your crash pad. I don't need to see that.
Hey,
Just go out there and do stuff and don't kill yourself, for the love of God.
all I'm gonna say is Matt Hardy is less embarrassing to watch in the ring than Chris Jericho.
That's something.
Hey, Jericho's still in my Rushmore. I'm sorry, it's gonna take a lot more than him embarrassing his entire legacy as the stupid learning tree as a nine-time champion, freaking Chris Jericho, Ring of Honor, and no.
He has a new moniker now, so hopefully that means the learning tree will be uprooted and set fire to.
Hold on, what's his new moniker?
I don't know, and quite honestly, anything that is getting rid of the learning tree is a plus in my book.
That's his worst gimmick, right? The learning tree.
Yeah.
His great, but we have to acknowledge that his greatest gimmick was 2008 heel Chris Jericho with the constant scowl on his face. The heel of the year in
Bob
2000.
Barker, Shawn Michaels going through the Geritron 3000. When he looked like he ate a sour lemon when he was about to beat up Bob Barker, and then Bob Barker kicked his ass.
Still one of my favorite segments from the whole guest host of Monday Night Raw. That whole thing with the oh man, Jericho was just class. That's the reason why Chris Jericho will forever be in my Rushmore. It's because of performances like that. It's like his opening promo when he first got to WWE, his list of 1,004 holds, the Festival of Friendships. All that stuff is the reason why the list of Jericho. His whole feud with Goldberg in WCW. That's why he's a GOAT. And it's just unfortunate that this is what he has reduced himself to another moniker that he's going to change in about 6 to 9 months because it's going to get old, stale, and nobody's going to care. And it's to the point now where I'm at the point where I think Matt Hardy in 2024 is a much better investment for a wrestling company than Chris Jericho. So I'm actually happy that Matt Hardy got this contract with TNA. I really am. And I'm glad because TNA is doing good things. This partnership that they did with WWE has actually helped them out tenfold.
Sure.
They're getting their stars over. Yes, now it looks like Jordynne Grace is probably going to be WWE bound. I'm sure Joe Hendry's right behind her as it is. But I really do think it's like I actually give a shit about TNA now. I haven't given a shit about TNA since Eric Young and AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Matt Morgan. Ugh, not Matt Morgan, never mind. All those guys were dominating TNA. That's when I cared about TNA. Now I care now because they actually have people that entertain and are actually good. The Nemeth brothers and Joe Hendry. I still believe in Joe Hendry, everyone.
Yeah.
Wave your hands from side to side. Yeah, I still believe in Joe Hendry. But I think this is good. I'm happy for the Hardy Boys. I know that there was some discussion that they wanted to finish their careers and sign their last contracts with WWE. And I know that there was talks that we might have seen them in the Performance Center helping out down there wherever they could. But at the end of the day, this is still a good move for Impact TNA. And I'm happy. I'm really happy for Matt Hardy. I really am. For a guy
And
who has
stopping them
been on,
at NXT.
yeah. And honestly, like I've been somebody who has dumped a very huge amount of venom towards Matt Hardy. So the fact that here we are in 2024 and Matt Hardy's still getting that bag and is still winning championships, I can tell you safely right now, I have eaten a lot of crow over a lot of things I've said over Matt Hardy, the only wrestler to ever prove that he could slam a tornado. Which has me thinking if he could slam a tornado, how would Matt Hardy fare in a match against a monsoon of gorillas? I don't think he
I
would
don't
stand a
think
chance
maybe
against a
fare well against any of that.
no.
So,
But good on Matt Hardy. I'm happy for him. Jeff Hardy, I kind of agree with you. He should have retired by now. He's kind of beat the shit out of himself so badly that I don't even want to watch him perform. And I still kind of have PTSD from what was it, Victory Road 2011 with his match against freaking. I wish I never saw that
the
match.
GOAT.
Sting is a goat, yes.
Yeah. 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 So, and the Hardys, their last stop before this was AEW, and there was all sorts of drama. Some of it was self-inflicted. Unfortunately, a lot of times Matt just ends up in the storm of his brother, and he can't slam that tornado. And it certainly impacted Matt's run in AEW. But you know what? More and more, it sounds and feels like little Tony Khan is thin-skinned, and I'm not going to say as petty as the dastardly Voldemort. But he's starting to get that reputation. So Ricky Starks, who has been MIA since March from AEW, he says, yes, my last match, I got a stinger, but it was looked at, I was cleared, everything was good, and I've been sitting at home healthy. Recently, he was on a GCW show, cut a promo. Think it was a solid promo. Kind of cut down the company a little bit, but I mean, hey, all right, it's all right. It feeds into this a bit. And then Effie, who is one of the high level performers in GCW, one of the most well known, has a podcast, and really was unhappy with the fact that GCW has booked the Hammerstein Ballroom. And generally, most of the wrestling companies know that, like, hey, if you book a show, hey, give that company time to do their show and wait at least a month after if you're going to book your own show. Within days of GCW announcing that they were going to be in the Hammerstein Ballroom, AEW announces they're going to be at the Hammerstein Ballroom for 3 nights. They could go to the Hammerstein Ballroom just about any time they want to, but for whatever reason, they specifically went on these nights. So Effie, on his podcast, specifically calls out and says, like, oh, I guess this is just Shad Khan wanting to pay to keep his son away. Said some sort of line like that. Allegedly, this is the line that set Tony Khan off. Allegedly. Where he is now not allowing any of his performers to go onto GCW. Effie is not part of the hierarchy of GCW. He is an independent contractor. His podcast is his own. It has nothing to do with the company at all, except for the fact that he wrestles there, but he is his own man. He's not told what to do on his podcasts. And allegedly, this is why Tony Khan has nixed any of his performers going to GCW. The owner of GCW was like, look, I've never talked to Tony personally, but literally, we have done nothing wrong. One of our performers may have said something, but that performer is an independent contractor and does not hold an office in GCW. We did not platform him or his show. It's his show. He's an independent contractor. But now GCW is made to suffer because of the thin skin of Cokehead Khan.
I just want to know how any AEW fan can justify and defend this man. I just don't understand this. We were told for years. I was saying, like, if AEW just stayed as an alternative, instead of trying to be competition to WWE, they would be successful. Now, I no longer think that Tony Khan is Herb Abrams. No. That would actually be a step up from what Tony Khan really is. Tony Khan now is the living embodiment of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He is controlling people's livelihoods. He doesn't have Ricky Starks. Or he has Ricky Starks. He doesn't want to use them.
And,
Ricky Starks...
by the way, he just extended Ricky Starks for another year because there was an option in his contract.
Yeah, I was going to get to that too. He has Ricky Starks. He hasn't used Ricky Starks. He's barely used Ricky Starks since CM Punk left, since he fired CM Punk a little over a year ago. Ricky Starks was close to CM Punk. Ray Phoenix, I know that Ray Phoenix has no connection to CM Punk, but Ray Phoenix and his brother Pentagon Jr. or El Miedo de Pentagon or whatever the hell he's calling himself, version of Pentagon, were WWE bound. Pentagon Jr.'s contract is up at the end of this month. Ray Phoenix's contract was extended with injury time. All the AEW fans were coming out with the hashtag Free Ali. You can't hold all these wrestlers hostage. If you're not going to book them, get rid of them. Are those the same people that are going to come out for Ray Phoenix? Are those the same people that are going to come out for Ricky Starks? The fact that Tony Khan was the one that picked up the contract last May on Ricky Starks, and he's now locked in until May of 2025, when he heard that Ricky Starks was thinking about testing the market, when he knew there was actual legitimate interest from WWE, especially with William Regal back in fold in WWE, a guy who was trying to get the likes of Ricky Starks and Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta. And yes, I'll give you credit there, William Regal. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Although Daniel Garcia right now is off my hatred list because he did take whatever championship that little fuckhead piece of shit freaking mistake that Luke Perry made. Ugh. Fuck Jungle Boy. Ugh. But I just, and I'm going to mention this again later in the podcast. This was just something I had to do because this is not a good look, Tony Khan. You were trying to tell us that you were not trying to be like Vince McMahon. I don't want to be like Vince McMahon. I want to be different. I want to be better. I want to be friends with all the wrestlers. And now you're doing the exact same thing that Vince McMahon did. He had guys, he just kept them there. He paid them a shit ton of money to do absolutely nothing. How many weeks, how many months did we hear that Veer was coming? Just to have him have like 4 matches where he beat Dominic Mysterio and a bunch of bums.
How
So
many
basically a
vignettes
bunch of bums.
does Arnie get?
Because he already got 2 matches. 2. He beat MVP. The fact that I know this is just freaking sad in its own right. The fact that I know Kazarni's entire wrestling catalog from his WWE run is just sickening. The fact that I know that his only matches were against MVP where he won, and then he lost the Battle Royal to determine the number one contender for, I think it was the ECW Championship, where he was like the third or fourth guy eliminated.
Hmm.
How I know that, don't ask me. I don't want to know.
Sad.
Just like I know that at some point, the Motor City Madman and the Big Cat become a tag team.
Yes. Yeah, Steve Chambers. It's like you got guys like Miro who's making 6 figures. They're not using him. Ricky Starks. They're not using him. Why extend their contracts and try to put them in like some wrestling purgatory? What did they do? Did they do something so egregious? I know Miro was kind of like, I don't like this creative for me coming back.
Miro has been in purgatory booking wise since he told Tony Khan he didn't want to go over on the freaking mascot.
Mm.
Miro said if I have to lose to Orange Cassidy, I'm not going to wrestle. So they took him out of the match. And they're like, oh, he's hurt. Motherfucker's been hurt for like 2 years then. What is he, JD Drew? Does he play for the Boston Red Sox? Is he in their rotation?
And Steve Chambers saying Ricky Starks looks to him like a cruiserweight Rock. That's fair. Ricky Starks though has a lot of potential. You know, he's good friends with Cody Rhodes, and there certainly were, like, I think it was Royal Rumble last year where there were pictures of Ricky Starks who was at the Rumble. Ricky Starks also was at WrestleMania 40 and was there when Cody won the championship. And Ricky Starks kind of said, "Hey, you realize like QT Marshall was with me and Dustin Rhodes was with me when that happened. Why aren't they getting? Why weren't they talked about like also?"
Hold on, wait. I got the answer to one of those. Now I can understand, like maybe they're still kind of butthurt about Dustin being part of the whole start of the things. They probably didn't know that QT Marshall was a wrestling star when they saw him. They were probably like, "Oh, that's got to be like Cody's long lost cousin." That's his ball fluffer, QT Marshall. That's why he's got a whole factory for him.
I have not seen it, but I have actually heard QT Marshall's match with the Costco guy was actually entertaining.
The Costco guy is a better wrestler than 80% of the AEW roster. I don't even have to watch the match, and I can already tell you. The guy is more over than 99% of their roster. Let's be serious. That is just that the Costco guy is more over than anybody else in AEW. They might as well make him the fifth pillar with the Big Bang Theory at this point. He is his match with QT Marshall is the third most viewed wrestling clip of 2024. The only two that were bigger was The Undertaker coming out at WrestleMania 40 and Joe Hendry on NXT.
Hmm.
Big Boom AJ or whatever the fuck his name is. I'm going to say it. And I hope that every AEW fan in the world hears me say this. And I'm going to say this from the bottom of my heart and from the pit of my soul. Big Boom AJ, or whatever the hell his name is, with the whatever the little whatever those other two things that he associates himself with, the Oompa Loompas. Big Boom AJ is a bigger with a couple of buddies. Big Boom AJ is a bigger draw for AEW than their shitty EVP douchebags, the Young Bucks.
Since you brought up your favorites, I'm going to have to say he is also a bigger draw than Sasha Banks.
Oh, that goes without saying, Jay. I could go on AEW Dynamite and be a bigger draw than Sasha Banks. I mean, we've proven that here in 2024, you and I are a bigger draw than Hampton Roads Championship Wrestling.
Right.
Because they don't draw anything anymore. Except for at home when they're drawing
I saw
pictures.
A poster today online, Vanguard Championship Wrestling. I believe I saw Uncle Phil.
Stop.
Uncle Phil, I think, is now wrestling in Vanguard Championship Wrestling.
They're that desperate that they had to bring it. That makes me want to go to Vanguard Championship Wrestling and start an Uncle Phil chant again. Although I have a feeling if that happens, that I'm going to get my ass kicked this time.
Yeah, no. I think they had a show like a couple days ago. Don't worry, they'll have another one. They'll have another one soon.
Uncle Phil, oh my God. I just need the Tony Romo wearing ring announcer and the rest of the Black Russian tag team.
Right.
Good shit. And honestly, like, I'm just trying to figure out what is Tony Khan's end game with all this. Why are you holding these people hostage? Why are you preventing them from going to WWE? What is the whole point of this? It's already, you already look bad as it is because you let the biggest star in WWE go. You let your biggest star go back to WWE. You let your biggest women's star go to WWE. All your underutilized talent is now doing stuff in WWE. Ethan Page, in his few months that he has been in WWE, has felt like a bigger deal than any other point in his time in AEW. Lexis King, granted, we're not going to talk about the beard game that he has going on right now, but Lexis King actually feels like a bigger deal in NXT than he did in AEW. I'm just saying right now, I think Tony Khan is starting to realize that he has all of these people in this whole Good Samaritan, oh, I'm going to pay you so you don't have to worry about your livelihood, and I'm this great guy because of the pandemic and everything like that. Motherfuckers don't want to just get paid. This is what they've been doing their entire lives. This is what they wanted to do since they were kids. Do you think Miro wants to sit at home and collect a paycheck to do nothing? No. He wants to go in there and beat people's skulls in. You think Aleister Black wants to go 600 days between singles matches? And you stick him in a trios stable? No. You think Ricky Starks wants to sit at home and do nothing? No. He's freaking showing up to GCW with Effie and Nick Gage. That's how bad that dude wants to get in the ring. Tony Khan, the more your company continues to exist, the more we're starting to see your flaws, and it's not a good thing. When John Moxley's coming out here and doing interviews for Sports Illustrated or ESPN, talking about after 5 years we need to do a hard reset, how is it in 5 years of this company you have not developed a single star outside of MJF? I'm not counting Swerve in this. Swerve would be a star wherever the hell he would have gone. AEW just benefited from the fact that Vince McMahon dropped the ball on Swerve Strickland, and I'm going to continue to say that. That is the highest mountain I will climb, and I will defend myself every day. AEW has not done a single thing to develop a new star in the industry, and they've been around for 5 years. Is John Moxley a big...
Christian tried to make Luke Perry's child legitimate.
Cousin Jay. Christian Cage has been in the wrestling industry since I was in high school.
He's a goat.
He is a go. I absolutely love Christian Cage. One of the most underrated wrestlers I've ever seen perform. Incredible performer and very, very underrated on the microphone. I don't care that he has a dirt face. So does Kenny Omega, and look at what that fuckhead did. My problem, but this is the issue. In 5 years, what has AEW done? Who is the stars that they have done? That they've created? They've pushed 50-something-year-old Chris Jericho to the moon. They relied heavily on Kenny Omega and two guys that couldn't draw if you supplied them with a piece of paper and the crayons to do it. You relied heavily on an undersized little shithead who just so happens to be the son of a famous Hollywood actor from the 90s. What stars? Jay, tell me, what stars has AEW created? What natural, organic stars have they created outside of MJF?
Uh, there was a bit of time when you had the Ass Boys and you had Scissor Me and all that stuff. That was entertaining stuff, but that has cooled down significantly. FTR were already made dudes. I'd say the closest thing would be Orange Cassidy, but even so, he's made his way up the card. But I enjoy Orange Cassidy.
I do too.
I will wear a t-shirt.
I've enjoyed Orange Cassidy's work. He's one of the very few bright spots, and I still, again, I've said that AEW has gone downhill ever since Moxley took the international, intergalactic, intercontinental, whatever championship it was that he took from Orange Cassidy. But this whole thing where John Moxley and the woman that we don't know and Claudio Castagnoli and the frickin' the Insane Clown Posse guy Wheeler Yuta and Kevin Owens' other best friend Pac, they're supposed to be these legit badasses who beat the shit out of people. Are we really to believe that the man who attacks people by nonchalantly kicking them with his hands in his pockets is really going to be a legitimate threat to a bunch of ass kickers? Again, they lucked out because they got hand gifted MJF, who got overlooked by WWE, and now he's one of the biggest stars in wrestling. Not even just AEW, he's one of the biggest stars in wrestling. He's kind of cooled a little bit, but he's MJF. He'll get right back to that spot where he was. He's too damn good and he's too damn young, and he's a great star to have that you can build around. But AEW's not going to do it. What have they done with Sammy Guevara? Absolute shit. He can't get out of his own freaking way. Jungle Boy got the biggest star in WWE fired, or the biggest star in AEW fired, and just hand delivered one of the biggest stars in wrestling history back to WWE because the Young Bucks couldn't get along with him. And now CM Punk's going to fight Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 41 and get WWE World Heavyweight title shots. While the Tiddlywinks playing yuckheads are going to be freaking jerking each other off at home watching freaking Kenny Omega fight the fuck doll. That has been the biggest problem, Cousin Jay, with AEW. In 5 years, they've been around. The fact that Moxley came out and said we have to do a hard reset after 5 years? No. Did Vince McMahon do a hard reset after 5 years in charge of WWE?
Well, he kind of sort of did a hard reset in the mid to late 90s, kind of sort of.
But at that point,
after the era of the dentist, the garbage man, the stealer, like some of those gimmicks were literally trash.
Cousin Jay, but at that time in the early to mid '90s, there was a lot of trash gimmicks. It wasn't even just the dentist and the man who repossesses cars. Because in the other place, WCW had a guy called Oz. WCW once had the diamond stud. WCW once upon a time had, what was another shitty one they had? The Disco Inferno. Oh, that was more of the late 90s. Never mind.
I mean, we had the Motor City Madman.
Oh, that was just awful. And the Big Cat.
The big cat. Hey,
But like,
eventually
but like,
he got over a little bit.
but like, look at what they did, and that's another thing with WWE. Look at WWE and all the people they turned into stars. They took Terry Boulder, and we know that it is not really Terry Boulder, but we called him Terry Boulder anyway. He took Terry
I bet
Boulder,
Terry Boulder. I bet his penis size is close to Hulk Hogan's.
probably, but no, nothing's as bigger than Hulk Hogan's. Not even Andre the Giant's. Allegedly, he took Terry Boulder from Mid South and turned him into Hulk Hogan, and we all know where that went. He once took a wrestler who was part of a tag team with the father of the Young Bucks and turned him into the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. Developed him into a star. He developed Bret Hart into a star. He took a guy who was known as Mean Mark Callis in the Skyscrapers with Dan Spivey and turned him into the single second greatest gimmick in wrestling history. An icon, a legend, a man who is in a lot of people's Rushmores. Vince McMahon knew how to make stars. He turned a guy who was known as Jean-Paul Levesque into the Game, the cerebral assassin. He turned Oz into Big Daddy Cool. Granted, Kevin Nash was the worst freaking money-making champion in WWE history, but at the same time, Kevin Nash was still champion for 18 months during the hottest point in wrestling, the Attitude Era. Vince McMahon, at the end of the day, yes, he did a lot of bad things, and yes, he has done a lot of bad things. We can't overlook that stuff. But we also can't overlook the fact, if people are going to sit out there and defend Benoit as a performer, even though he is a low-life scumbag piece of shit and is going to rot in hell, he's not even going to rot in hell. He's rotting in super hell right now. But if they're going to talk about him as a performer, you also have to talk about the fact that Vince McMahon knew how to make stars. Yes, not everything he had turned into gold. Because for crying out loud, he actually thought he was going to take the 300th ranked wrestler in the PWI's ratings and turn him into a star. Unfortunately for him, the year he decided to do it, the 300th ranked wrestler that year was the Trash Man. Or the Garbage Man.
Yeah.
Tony Khan does not know how to make stars. Tony Khan knows how to somewhat book already established stars in professional wrestling who've made a name for themselves in WWE or elsewhere and tried to make them into stars. Because clearly he has no idea what he's doing. Because he's booking Sasha Banks like she's John Cena, and that's not the case here. She doesn't draw in ratings, but he keeps putting her out there every single day. What the hell is she doing to your ding dong, Tony Khan? That's what I need to know. I already know that Chris Jericho was getting out there and was allowed to a free microphone and come up with whatever stupid gimmick he can come up with every 6 months because he feeds Tony Khan cocaine and Grey Goose. The Young Bucks just bring, Dave Meltzer in there and they all just kind of play tiddlywinks with Tony Khan while he's on coke. That's the only reason why they're relevant. But that's the biggest issue with AEW. Outside of MJF in their 5 years of existence, they have not created a new star in the industry. Not a single one. You had Powerhouse Hobbs, and that guy is a very imposing specimen. He is actually not that bad in the ring. He's not great on the microphone, but you know what? With a good mouthpiece, he's a very viable threat as a legitimate heel, as a powerhouse heel. I mean, his name is Powerhouse Hobbs. Did absolutely nothing with him. You had Wardlow, who powerbombed MJF to hell. One of my favorite moments in AEW history was the Symphony of Powerbombs by frickin' Wardlow on MJF at All Out, Double or Nothing, whatever the hell it was that they did it at. And you fumbled the ball with that. Darby Allin's another guy you can actually turn into a star, but that's another one that gets in his own way. Sammy Guevara has the issues, like he's just a problem backstage. Darby Allin just gets in the way of buses. So it's like that's the big thing, Cousin Jay. At the end of the day, no matter what AEW does, and clearly they're not about making money, because if they were about making money, they wouldn't be doing 500,000 or 600,000 ratings every single week. Trying to grow an audience that they haven't grown in 5 years, it's only shrunk. Everybody was sitting there and applauding them and patting them on the back because they hit the 1 million mark on their first show when they were like, oh, we were expecting a 500,000. Well, you're not supposed to go in reverse. You're not supposed to be satisfied with the fact that now, 5 years later, your audience is decreasing every single week. You're not expanding your audience. You've given too many wrestlers too much leeway, and you have done absolutely nothing to build a new star in wrestling. And that is my biggest issue with AEW. I'm sorry I went on a tangent, but this is like that whole thing with Moxie coming out and doing that interview and saying like, oh, he's the badass and he's going to save AEW and he's going to be the reason why AEW is going to be in the future and all this. No, get the fuck out of here. It's because of the fact that Tony Khan lets you enable your fetish where you like to cut yourself open and bleed everywhere, John Moxley. That's the reason why. But I'm sorry. Thoughts? I know that's a lot to digest, Cousin Jay. I apologize, but
I'm just going to get back to the original point of when Tony Khan signed on to do this, he wanted to be something different. He wanted to not be Vince McMahon. He wanted to, if he was going to let a wrestler go, I signed a contract with the person. I am going to uphold that contract.
Oh, my back.
But if you unnecessarily, more or less, hold somebody hostage, like I'm not planning to do anything with Ricky Starks, I'm going to extend him because screw him. I'm going to extend Miro because screw him. I'm gonna keep paying him, but he's going to sit at home because screw him. Oh, and I am going to start cutting talent from my roster.
The fact that he openly admitted that he extended Rey Fenix for injury time and then said, I'm not going to do anything with him, I'm not even going to book him, that's
Petty.
what really bothers me. The fact that you were blatantly open and honest with the fact that, like, yeah, I'm basically keeping him from WWE. And
it's
I
like,
am now
clearly
convinced.
You know that he's valuable.
Yes.
If he is valuable and you think that the other company could do something with him, but you decide you want to let him waste away, it's like, yeah, you're paying him. But, in your rant, the best part you got to was these guys are top-level performers. They do not want to be sitting on their asses. They want to be in front of a crowd, and they want to get their ass over, and they want to, get paid even more.
Yep. You can't sell T-shirts if you're sitting at home on your couch doing nothing because people can't see you wearing your new T-shirts.
Just go hang out with John Cena.
How would they do that, Jay? They can't see him.
Anyway.
Oh, come on. That was a good John Cena no see me, Joe. Come on. You can't see John Cena. How are you going to hang out with him? Can't see him.
Well, I mean, if you can't see Ricky Stark, then...
Well, we haven't seen Miro.
Yeah.
He rolled up in the tank. It's terrible. I can't understand. I can't fathom how this man can still do what he's doing. Eventually, at some point, and I just got this feeling, Shad Khan's going to be like, I got to cut ties here. It's already going to be bad enough when they have the first pick in the draft and the kid from Colorado tells them to go fuck themselves like Eli told the Chargers 20 years ago. That's what I need.
And quite honestly, that ended up working out for both teams. to be fair.
Especially the Giants. Especially the Giants. Because I always wanted to have a Manning as my starting quarterback, and I got my favorite Manning as my starting quarterback.
Derp.
I don't care. It's to the point now, Cousin Jay, where I can't even watch the Manning cast of the Giants are on Monday night because I just envision him going out there now and being a better quarterback than fucking Danny Dimes is going to be in Minnesota.
Tommy Cutlets, baby.
Oh God, we had Drew
Bring out the
Lock this year.
cutlets.
Ugh. Ugh. It's bad. It's ugly. It's nasty. I don't even want to be a Giants fan. And then we're gonna end up with Dion's kid
I
as our
don't know if I'd
quarterback. I
rather
can't wait.
be a Bears fan or a Giants fan at this point.
I'm gonna be nice. I'm not gonna say anything. I'd rather be a Giants fan just because over the 30 plus years of being a football fan, there's not many teams that have suffered the insufferable losses like the Bears have. The double doinks, the just that Hail Mary
I mean, the
against
Hail Mary a few weeks ago.
that was the fact that the defensive back was taunting the fans. And I gave the dude my Brainless that week too. When you're taunting the fans and then you go in there, deflect the ball, and the opposing team's player catches it to score the winning touchdown. Oh my God, that was the most. That's the Bears. It's the Bears. They are who we thought they were.
Yep.
But yeah, the head coach had to go. I'm sorry. He was the reason why. I just I'm just not a fan of Caleb Williams. So if you are a Bears fan out there, I'm sorry. He is a talent wise as a passer, he's got that. He doesn't have this. Just like Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the mentality to be a leader. He's a good, talented player, but he's not a leader. He's got to be a guy who's going to end up on a team where somebody else is the vocal point and the leader of the team, like the team's left tackle or a pass rusher or a wide receiver. It's not going to be Caleb Williams. I'm sorry, a guy crying in his in his mother's arms after losing a regular season college football game is not somebody I could see leading a team. And this is coming from a guy whose starting quarterback got paid $160 million over 4 years to not win a single start in his home stadium in the entire time of that contract and then get released after he was the scout team safety in practice. When I told them, and I said it for months and months and months and months before the draft, do not draft Daniel Jones. History has a way of repeating itself, and I don't want that. Especially because now Tommy DeVito to me feels like Danny Canal. Drew Lock to me is like Kent Graham. I am having flashbacks and PTSD to my days of the 90s of being a Giants fan where we had a revolving door of starting quarterbacks after Phil Simms retired in 93.
Dave
I
Brown,
had to,
baby.
I had to endure Dave Brown, Stan White, Kent Graham, Mike Cherry, Danny Canal, Jesse Palmer. Jesse
Happy lefty,
Palmer.
baby.
I had to endure watching alcoholic Kerry Collins with his two friends Jack Daniels and Captain Morgan embarrass the Giants in that Super Bowl 35 against Baltimore. Ugh. Only time I've ever thrown people out of my house during a Super Bowl party was during that Super Bowl against the Ravens. People were getting thrown out of my house with like 5 minutes left in the third quarter. I don't know where you're going to watch the end of the Super Bowl. It ain't going to be here. You got to get the hell out. I don't want to see you here. Go. Bye. I'll see you at school tomorrow.
Drew Lock is Jeff Hostetler. Hey, Jeff Hostetler won a Super Bowl. Legit was the quarterback who won a Super Bowl.
More or less, Geno Smith, the way he's been playing with Seattle is more like Jeff Hostetler because I actually like Geno Smith, and I'm very happy for Geno Smith's success, and I'm glad he got paid in Seattle because he's actually not a bad quarterback. It's just that, the Jets do a lot of things. That's you know what? No matter
They've
what,
destroyed Aaron Rodgers. It's so great.
listen, I don't care. No matter what I do, no matter what the Giants do, no matter what they say, no matter how hard they try, no matter how much pain and suffering and damage they do to my mental health on each and every given week of an NFL season, I every day am grateful that I grew up as a Giants fan as opposed to a Jets fan. Because if I was a Jets fan, I would definitely have been seeking psychiatric help decades ago. Vinny
Yeah.
Testaverde, Vinny Testaverde alone would have put me in the freaking loony bin. I am very grateful that I am a Giants fan because it could always be worse. It could always be a Jets fan. Same thing about being a Patriots fan. Even as bad as it is after all the great stuff that the Patriots have gone through, it could always be worse. You could be a
Yeah.
Jets fan. I love the fact that we
All right.
segue from AEW to talking shit about the Jets. It's the best thing ever.
Now, after talking about the firing of the Chicago Bears head coach and maybe the potential firing of the New York Giants head coach, we got to talk about people who are going to survive tomorrow. We are
I
going
do
to
have
talk
a.
Survivor Series.
Now, are we doing predictions?
I think so.
Do you mind if I sneak in my top 10 list real quick before we get into predictions? I'm sorry.
All right.
Really quickly, since it is the holiday season, I decided to do a very special top 10 list. The list next week on Thursday will be, once again, Meltzer reasons for AEW's bad ratings will be my top 10 list next week. But for this week, since yesterday was Thanksgiving, I decided that for this week, my top 10 list would be the top 10 things wrestlers and wrestling related people are thankful for this year.
Okay.
Number 10, primetime Brian Lee is thankful for this podcast and Clash 13.
Should be.
Number 9, Dominic Mysterio is thankful for chicky nuggets and fries.
Hmm.
Number 8, Slapjack is thankful for paper plates.
Yes.
Number 7, AEW fans are thankful for the Big Bang Theory being their pillars. Number 6, Chris Jericho is thankful for Tony Khan because nobody would ever give Chris Jericho the outlet he has gotten for this garbage that he does every single week.
Mm.
Number 5, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is thankful for his very wet hair. Although Bronson Reed is making a strong case this year, but I still think that
telling you, the clashing of water buffaloes that we have been seeing lately has been. It's going to be a tsunami tomorrow.
Well, yeah, him, Jacob Fatu, and Bronson Reed in the ring together. Just imagine if Seth Rollins makes an appearance. It's going to be it's going to be a washout. Number 4, Tony Khan. Tony Khan is thankful for cocaine. Number 3, the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are thankful for HBK's career aspirations. They both aspired to be Shawn Michaels when in actuality they were both Marty Jannetty. I know Cousin Jay knows where I'm going with number 1 and 2. I hope he knows where I'm going with number 1. I'm going to swerve him here because I think he's going to think that number 2 should have been number 1. Number 2, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is thankful for the Hostess Company for their incredible cupcakes.
Yes. Yes.
Well, Cousin Jay, those are who are thankful from 2 through 10. Would you like to venture a guess at who is the most thankful person this holiday season for everything in his life in professional wrestling, Cousin Jay?
I think I'm going to go with Kevin Dunn for all the dams that he's been able to make in the past 11 months.
That is one hell of a guess, and I wish I had thought of that. That is a good one, though. Unfortunately, the answer is Cassius Ohno. Cassius Ohno is extremely thankful that Tony Khan spared no expenses in the catering department.
Mm. Mm.
There's your top 10 list. It's time to get into some Survivor Series War Games predictions.
Yeah.
All right, Cousin Jay. First match up, we have the World Heavyweight Championship match between Gunther and Damian Priest.
I understand why they're doing this match. I like Priest. Gunther is going over. They really did have a heck of a match a couple months ago. I'm looking forward to another hard-hitting affair. Gunther's going over.
Oh, big time. It's going to be a lot of fun. That match is going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. They low key had a really good rivalry during the summer, and I enjoyed watching Priest and Gunther go at it. I think they're going to have another great match tomorrow, but I think Gunther goes over as well.
All right.
U.S. Championship title match. L.A. Knight going up one-on-one with the returning Nakamura heel Gutierrez. And chat.
I'm going with my gut on this one. I think Nakamura is going to win. I do not want the end of the LA Knight title reign, but I don't know. I know Nakamura is just coming back, and he's like a Sith Lord now. I'm going with Nakamura.
Sith Lord. I love that comparison. That is spot on. I'm sorry,
That's
Jay.
what he
I'm
looks
with
like.
you. I'm absolutely with you. I think Nakamura is winning tomorrow, and I think he's actually going to end the LA Knight reign. But I don't think this is one of those situations that even if LA Knight wins the title, I don't think we've seen the last of him as a champion in WWE. I wouldn't be surprised that whatever they do, if they do another roster shakeup, or if they're just going to be like, yeah, we're kind of lax with the whole roster split, so we're going to just have you guys on both shows. That he's going to win the Intercontinental title, if not the United States Championship again. He's actually done a great job as champion, but I could see Nakamura coming back and winning the title.
I would not mind seeing a return at some point a little bit down the road of heel LA Knight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dummy. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. The match I'm looking forward to most tomorrow. Braun Breaker defending the Intercontinental Championship against Kaiser Roll. And it's a shameful thing, lobster head, a careless man who can wind up dead. Sorry.
All right. All right.
It's the
Braun Breaker is going to take the Kaiser roll, and he's going to make himself a lobster sandwich, and he's going to eat them up. Braun Breaker, with the way they booked him, like it's been such a weird, like it's like stop go so far. I don't think you could take the title off him right now unless he like peed in somebody's like cereal. So I'm going to go with Braun Breaker for the retaining the championship.
Now they could take the title off of him, Cousin Jay, and then have him win it back the first night on Raw on Netflix, because you know how they like to do a title change on a new network. Because they did the same thing when they moved back to you, or they moved NXT to CW. They had Trick Williams win the NXT Championship.
At this rate, Braun Breaker is going to have more Intercontinental title reigns than The Miz in a year.
That's fine, because at least he's not even in Charlotte Flair's wheelhouse for title reigns with her as women's champion, because she's going to surpass her dad and John Cena.
I mean, she might do that tomorrow night.
It's possible. You know me. I love Braun Breaker. He is an incredible, incredible star. That is what AEW is not capable of doing. Building up a star like Braun Breaker and just taking them from the football field to being one of the top bright stars in the company and in the entire industry. However, I think we all know where the Brainless one's going tomorrow.
Chris Brown is following you.
I am telling you this. It's just like when I do a football pick'em every single week with the family. Do I take the Giants or whoever they're playing? I am a dumbass, and I bet with my heart on those, and I take the Giants every single week, whether they are playing the NFL All Stars or if they're playing Central Connecticut State University. I am taking the Giants every single time, no matter what. Just like I'm taking Sheamus no matter what tomorrow. Give me Sheamus winning the Intercontinental title.
All right.
The
And
women's.
will this be like the scene from South Park?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be very reminiscent of when Johnny Gargano won the NXT Championship, and I spent 3 days cleaning the ceiling from Jeff's El Jefe's love stains that he left on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. The women's War Games match. Now I have no idea if they have announced Jade Cargill's replacement, so I have no idea if they're going to do that tonight or not. But it is Liv Morgan. Oh God, Liv Morgan, Candice LeRae. As I go through this list, they just keep getting worse. Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, and the
And your
worst
favorite,
of the worst,
favorite.
the Rackback versus Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Rhea Ripley, and a wrestler, possibly Bailey, possibly Charlotte, possibly Becky, possibly Alexa Bliss, possibly Wendy Richter. Who do you got? Team Liv Morgan or Team Rhea Ripley?
Uh, 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 Using smoke and mirrors, Rhea Ripley wearing the Cody face mask, looking like Marilyn Manson circa 1998.
The beautiful people, the beautiful people, the beautiful people, the beautiful people.
So I'm going with Rhea and her team defeating the team with the two champions and the woman with the Money in the Bank briefcase. I mean, if you were going crazy tinfoil hat, like Charlotte Flair comes back, beats up Tiffy, somehow figures out a way to storyline steal the Money in the Bank match, has a title match against both Nia Jax and Liv Morgan simultaneously, pins them both, takes both titles, passes out her dad, and John Cena becomes the super duper champion, greater than Sheamus ever was, and all the craziness that goes on with that. I'm joking about that last one.
My
I
crazy
don't think that's
tinfoil,
happening.
my crazy tinfoil hat theory is because we've never seen it before. Tiffy's cashing in Money in the Bank during War Games or after War Games.
I think that would be great because one of those champions will be knocked out.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
agree with you. I think it's going to be Team Rhea Ripley going over on Team Rackback. All right. And finally, the Bloodline 2.0, which is Solo Sikoa. It is my boy Jacob Fatu. It is the GOAT Tamatonga. That other guy, Tongaloa, and the Tsunami himself. And boy, does that name really fit him when he hits you with a tsunami. Bronson Reed. Going up against the original Bloodline, consisting of Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and their surprise fifth person, handpicked by the wise man himself, CM Punk. Cousin Jay, who's winning War Games 2.0 or OC? I'm sorry, OTC.
Uh, OTC. I'm going with OTC because one thing I pointed out in recent weeks when talking about, I think you brought up that Roman has been taking a couple of L's and has been getting pinned a lot. And I pointed out that the last couple of bits when he's come back has been without the wise man. The only time he lost with the wise man was Cody Rhodes. he got pinned in the tag match, but I'm talking specifically, Wise Man singles matches and all that jazz. The Wise Man is the linchpin. I say they win, but there are going to be all sorts of fireworks, and I think you're correct that the road to WrestleMania no longer begins officially even though they'll officially say it in January at the Royal Rumble. We're going to see it tomorrow.
I'm going with 2.0. I have a lot of crazy things that are going to happen too. My lock, Seth Rollins gets involved and takes CM Punk out of the match. Another bold prediction. Paul Heyman turns on Roman Reigns and joins forces, not with Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu. And my other bold prediction that may come true, Jimmy Uso does to Jay the same thing Dakota Kai did to No Knees Knox at the War Games down in NXT.
All right. Chris Brown in the chat says 2.0 wins because we get appearances from Dwayne and Seth to help plant seeds for WrestleMania 41. Reed does a tsunami off the cage onto either Punk or Seth during the melee.
Seth's going to somehow get in this, and he's either going to like curb stomp CM Punk to set up for the match because he's going to cost them the match that way, where he simultaneously not only screws over CM Punk, but he also screws over Roman Reigns in the process. And hell, I wouldn't even rule out the possibility of a Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins match at WrestleMania either. Anything, as KJ and Hondo once said after the Celtics won the title in 2008, anything's possible.
Yes.
But yeah, I think tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. I think that tomorrow's going to be a great show.
But by the way, it's been weird. I've seen some things saying that, the show starts at 6, some things that say that it starts at 7. Is like does that pre-show at 6? Is the show at 7? Is it pre-show at 7? Show starts at 8? I don't know. I'm very confused. I know it's taking place in Vancouver tomorrow, so they're 3 hours behind where we are in the East Coast here. I'm very confused, though. Like, even on WWE's own website, some things say 6 o'clock, some things say 7. So I'm going to say make sure you tune in by 7.
Yeah, I think that's your best bet. And if you definitely tune in by 6, you'll be able to watch possibly Big E do what Big E does best on the pre-show, entertain the masses.
Yeah. Yeah!
Yeah, but I think that's it for the predictions. I think all that's left now, Cousin Jay, is our good,
our bad,
and our brainless.
Yeah.
All right, Cousin Jay, what do you got for your good this week?
I have to hand it to Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods in just this storyline that they have been slowly plodding along. I know it's not the top tier storyline as far as the biggest draw, but it is captivating in the slow disintegration of the power of positivity. It has been fun to watch. And what they did last week was great. Really great stuff. Well shot. Well performed.
I like it. That's a hell of a pick. And the best part about what they...
for your good?
Real quickly, though, one thing I do like about this is they have gotten people more vested in what they do for Monday's 10-year anniversary special that they're going to do with the New Day because of the fact that they've been teasing this rift for the better part of 6 months to a year. So I applaud them for that. I'm more excited to see what happens with that and how it all unfolds. For me, for my good, I don't know how I feel about the mid-card championships yet in the women's division in WWE because they don't really have enough women. But man, Chelsea Green winning last week made me so happy. Chelsea winning, and really she should be the one that wins this thing because she has been absolutely spectacular since she returned to WWE almost 2 years ago. She has been absolutely killing it. She stands out above anybody else. She's been performing like everybody else. She has been entertaining more than anybody else. Chelsea Green getting the win and her being one win away from becoming the United States champion, the inaugural United States champion for the women's. That's why she gets my good for this week.
All right.
What do you got for your bad?
I have to go with this whole Tony Khan, Ricky Starks, all the pettiness going on with that. Hey, if Ricky Starks took a dump in his soup, peed in his cereal, okay. He's doing to Ricky Starks what Ricky Starks needs to have happen to him. I'm pretty sure the Cruiserweight Rock is not doing that. Let the dude go. Let the dude go.
Same thing with Phoenix.
Let the dude go. If you're not doing anything with him, let him go. Let him go to greener pastures.
Yes, we know Ricky Starks. You sharded in his cocaine, and that's why he's treating you the way he is.
He cut it too much.
Yeah?
Yeah? What do you have for your bad, brainless one?
And like I've said before, and I'll continue to say it on this podcast, nobody and nothing is excluded from good, bad, or brainless on any given week. And because the New York football Giants found a way to embarrass themselves at home once again, where they have not won a game all season, getting embarrassed by bum buffet Baker, and then losing to the Dallas Cowboys and their backup quarterback on Thanksgiving, the Giants get my bad for this week.
All right.
What do you got for your brainless?
Similar to you, there are things that are not outside the bounds of things that we can put our brainless on. Chicago Bears head coach not calling a timeout when he had a timeout, and then defending the decision. When Bill Belichick did that in the Super Bowl when he was on defense, and he was trying to melt down Pete Carroll's brain and Russell Wilson's brain, he did it with purpose. When you have a young quarterback on offense and time is running out, and oh, by the way, the clock is ticking down, and you just need a field goal, and you don't call a timeout, well, sir, you got what was coming to you. Although them kicking you in the nuts on the way out by making you do a press conference in the podcast, I don't know if I love that too much. But I mean, he deserved to get fired. That was one of the biggest bonehead plays like I've ever seen a head coach do. Between that and like having a dude on your team so undisciplined that he is going off on the crowd, taunting the crowd, and he's the one who causes you to lose a game that you had no business losing. Like our buddy Pat's out there defending the country somewhere out on the ocean, and he's probably sitting there at the very edge of his ship, just looking over the side like, bottle of Malort in hand.
Wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy.
Yeah. So that is my brainless for this week. What do you have for your brainless?
My brainless was you're bad. I have to give it to AEW and Tony Khan for holding Ricky Starks, Miro, Ray Phoenix, and all these wrestlers hostage. Dude, you said you didn't want to be like Vince McMahon, but yet here we are, and you're treating people like you're Vince McMahon. You can't do it. It's you're contradicting yourself. It's the double standard with you, Tony Khan. It's okay for you to do it with your company and your wrestlers, but it's not okay for WWE to do it because WWE, because AEW good, WWE Harvey Weinstein, you coke addicted fuckhead. There will never be a time. All Tony Khan has to do is breathe, and he is a legitimate contender for Brainless every single week, and that's why he got it this week because he deserves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, if you like what you've seen, whether you are a first-time watcher or a continuous fan, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on the Twitters, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, letter F, the letter N, MARKS, the F and Mercs. Like, follow, and subscribe to us. We will do the same back. That has always been our
mantra. And make sure you set up notifications so that when we are live, you will be notified that we are live, whether it's on the Facebooks or on the YouTubes. That way you can join in the conversation and talk about our favorite sport we all love to hate.
the
Pro
New York
wrestling.
Giants.
Yeah.
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 I think that's everything.
That is absolutely everything. We have absolutely nothing else to get to. Or do we?
Or except for one thing. Hello, Curtis Axel. It is always good to see you. Likewise, Brainless One. Especially because we all know that I have a very special announcement. What is that, Curtis Axel? Well, Brainless One, did you know that today, November 29th of 2024, at an astonishing 3,595 days, I, F. Marks Hall of Famer, is still alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble.
Bow, 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 bow.
And just realize, Curtis Axel, you are less than 2 months away from being alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble for a decade. The Ty Dillinger. That is incredible.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows more about perseverance than Curtis Axel in the 2015 Royal Rumble.
You got that right.
Anyway, for episode 382 of everyone's favorite wrestling podcast, the F and Marks,
I'm Jay. He is.
I am the Brainless One, and you make sure you mark out.
With your guac out. See you, everyone. Have a good
Thanks for
week.
tuning in.
Enjoy the Rumble, and we will see you on Thursday. Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah.
Thursday. Yeah.
Enjoy War Games, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.